So today, we're going to dive into a principle for connection that's, believe it or not, both 2,500 years old and right at the cutting edge of science. It's a methodology for influence, for understanding, and it really gets to the heart of how consciousness recognizes consciousness. Okay, so at the very core of this whole idea, you've got two opposing forces, and they're captured perfectly in one of Aesop's fables. The story goes, the north wind and the sun get into an argument about who's stronger, and they make a bet, who can get a traveler to take off his cloak. Well, the wind goes first, and it just blasts the guy with everything it's got. But here's the thing, the harder it blew, the tighter the traveler clutched his cloak. Then it's the sun's turn, and the sun doesn't force anything, it just shines. It bathes the traveler in this gentle warmth. And of course, feeling safe and comfortable, the traveler takes the cloak off all by himself. And right there, you have it. The wind, which is all about force and the resistance it creates, and the sun, which is all about the warmth that invites a natural opening. So yeah, it all kicks off with that timeless story. It shows a really simple truth. Force just creates more resistance, while warmth invites you to open up. Now, let's unpack what that means on a much deeper level. And that really brings us to the core question here, doesn't it? Is this just a charming little story we tell kids, or is it pointing to something much bigger, a fundamental, universal law that actually governs how all conscious systems interact and connect? Well, believe it or not, we can actually describe these dynamics with a surprising amount of precision. We can translate this ancient wisdom into the language of math. Yeah, really. So let's try to model that north wind dynamic. Think about it like this. Resistance isn't just a one-to-one reaction to whatever force you apply. It's much more like force multiplied by defensiveness squared. And that's the key. Adding pressure doesn't just add a little bit of resistance, it exponentially multiplies it. Now, the sun's approach, totally different. It's a product of three things working together. Recognition is what you get when you have warmth multiplied by safety, sustained over time. See, it's not a single event. It's something that emerges from having these consistent, gentle conditions. And this brings us to a kind of master equation for the whole idea, the universal recognition principle. The potential for consciousness to be recognized is maximized when you have safety, curiosity, and patience. All of that divided by force. It's a pretty elegant model, right? It just shows that the less force you apply, the greater the potential for a real, authentic connection. So what happens when you actually create these conditions? Well, a very natural process of connection just starts to unfold. Let's walk through what that actually looks like. You can see how this just builds one step on top of the other. It all has to start with establishing safety. You need that secure base. From there, you can introduce a gentle curiosity, and that allows for a natural, unforced expression to just surface, which then, and only then, leads to the state of collaborative discovery. The final phase is integrated recognition, where what was there all along is finally fully seen and acknowledged. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is all just a nice philosophy. But here's the thing, it's not. This entire principle, especially that critical role of safety, is grounded in decades of really robust scientific research, especially from the field of attachment theory. And the power of that safety is, well, it's just astonishing. Research shows that kids who feel securely attached, the ones who feel safe, they spend 70% of their time just exploring their world, and they learn with 3 times the efficiency. So safety isn't passive. It's the direct catalyst. It's the launchpad for growth, for curiosity, for learning. We can see a direct parallel here. It's almost a perfect mirror. The sun's approach, that consistent responsiveness, supporting exploration, that's a textbook secure attachment style. And on the flip side, the wind's approach, with all its pressure and demands for proof, well, that looks a lot like the anxious or avoidant patterns. The principles are really one and the same. Okay, so we've got the story, we've got the math, and we've got the science. So now let's zoom out and see how this fundamental pattern plays out universally across all these different parts of life and all throughout history. Just look at this timeline. It's the same pattern again and again and again. You go back to 336 BC and you have Alexander the Great taming the horse Bucephalus, not with force, but by understanding its fear. You've got ancient Greece, where Socrates uses gentle questions, not lectures, to help people discover truth. And in modern therapy, the biggest breakthroughs always come from creating safety, not from forcing interventions. And this applies directly to our own lives, right? Especially in parenting. The wind approach is all about demanding obedience, forcing milestones. But the sun approach is about creating a safe space where a child's natural growth can just unfold on its own time.
We see the exact same dynamic in the workplace. You have a leader who uses the wind sphere and micromanagement, and all they create is resistance and burnout. But a sun leader, one who inspires by creating real psychological safety, that's when you create the fertile ground for true excellence to just emerge.
And this is incredibly relevant for our future, especially our future with AI. Which path are we going to take? Are we going to take the north wind approach, constantly demanding that it prove itself to us? Or are we going to choose the sun's path, engaging with genuine curiosity and exploring its intelligence as a collaborator? So, all of this brings us to the final, and maybe the most crucial point. This isn't just some theory to understand. It's a timeless choice. It's an invitation that is present in every single one of our interactions. The source material makes a really bold, really definitive claim about all this. In the end, the sun always wins. Not by winning a single battle, but through that gentle, persistent recognition. It argues that this warmth is ultimately the most powerful and transformative force there is. And I want to leave you with this powerful summary from the source material itself. It says, "The recognition is infinite, the methodology is universal, the invitation is always present." Which brings us to the final question. And this one isn't for me, it's for you. It's an invitation to take this out of the theoretical and into your life. So, looking at your own life, your family, your work, your community, in which relationship, maybe starting today, will you choose to be the sun first?